they have been taking, will I say, taking advantage of where they are not looking at. So if you ask me, I think the fintech is having it too, because we have now 217 functional fintech creating solution for Nigeria. In fact, taking us to Silicon Valley. And in Africa, we have Kenya, we have South Africa, and we have Nigeria. Nigeria is taking the lead. So if you look at ATM, let's give ourselves a practical example. Look at how many people access ATM like before. Everybody will go online, send their money. If you look at the trajectory, the ATM is nosediving. In fact, banks itself is not even servicing ATM as supposed to be because of the fintech. So I think it's a place to coexist for the fintech and the conventional bank. But I must tell you, the fintech is taking the advantage beyond conventional bank. Conventional bank is looking at regulatory gap. I can tell you there is a confusion. CBN is taking some role on fintech. SEC is taking some role. NITDA is taking some role. You will also remember loan sharks. FCCPC is also bringing out some framework. I think there's a regulatory gap that we must take care of so as to have a better fintech in Nigeria.
Now, I'll come to you, Mr. Olamilekan. Do you think that both can coexist, or should there still be need for a healthy competition or rivalry?
We can rule out healthy competition, and we can also rule out competition. We can also not rule out a monopoly of the entire system. But just like what Doctor has said, in terms of regulation has become a challenge within the hub of this fintech commercial bank activities. But for me, we can have a collaboration. After all, most of the activities of the commercial bank are what some of the fintech are also trying as much as possible to take over. And some of the activities of the fintech themselves are what the commercial bank are experimenting. So we can have a collaborative in terms of how they can function, how they can operate, and how they can carry out their and ensure financial stability in Nigeria. But regulation is key. And the doctor forgot to mention another key regulator that is in the chain of this value chain of this fintech activity, NCC. And that's where I have issue. Who is providing this network provision for both banks, commercial banks and fintech is NCC. So when neither give regulation on terms of a kind of a technology we want to use, NCC is the core regulator. So if these 5 or 6 of them don't come together to have an harmonization on what and how banking operation in line with online banking and the rest of them can operate, definitely we're going to be facing these challenges we are having. But one thing we must not rule out is competition and monopoly of the system can happen at any time, particularly with the recapitalization of banks that we're talking about in recent time. And with the issue of merger and acquisition, it can happen. So we cannot rule out all this happening within the financial sector of Nigeria.
Now, for most of our viewers at home who would be listening in and following this conversation, the worry for them is when fintechs are seen to be disrupting what traditional banks do, and they always say tied to the network challenges. You've talked about the role of the NCC. Now, when it happens in that stance that fintechs now become disruptive of traditional banking systems in regards to transactions, receiving, sending money, or even collecting money, how do these regulations that are supposed to be in place hold them accountable?
Right. I think what I think government should do, they should establish another regulatory body. Because if you look at it now, about 6 of them, there are some cases that you wouldn't even know where to take the case. So I think there should be a separate, because beyond banking, fintech also play in insurance industry, in a pension industry. So there should be a one-stop shop for all the fintech related financial fintech, so to say. So, and that would have gathered all of them and regulate them appropriately. But in terms of they are also susceptible. That's what we must also look at, and that's part of why they are saying that there should be 0.005 cyber whatever, because I can tell you all these fintech are also being attacked, serious attack. In fact, if they tell you what they are going through, Nigerians will not want to bank in their banks. But the thing is, there should be a regulatory body that will take care of all, because it's an emerging area. An emerging area, the problem is that there's always a lacuna. And what do I mean by lacuna? there's regulatory gap. It's going to be there. It's natural because people will bring innovation. Innovation will bring a gap, and people will take it. And I must tell you, even in business, I won't call it legal robbery. People won't take advantage of what is not governed to really make some advance. So I think government must come up with another agency that will take care. Because I must tell you, CBN is doing a lot already, right? In terms of and they must also face their core monetary policy, because if I also telling them that they should also bring technology into what they are facing, sometimes it's bring contradiction to what they actually then for NCC, which are the core, like you rightly said, I must tell you that there's also a game between fintech and NCC which is going to like kill the conventional banks. I can